Are you trying to learn how to play guitar and you want to take the first steps to being able to sound amazing on your own? If you are, this is the perfect stop for you, because I'm going to explain to you the basic concepts you have to know to start learning lead guitar or guitar soloing to start your own journey. And it's really important to get to the end of this video because a few of these tips are somewhat controversial in the way most people would progress on guitar, but through my experience, this is the way that you should do it to pick up on less mistakes early on and just glide through your guitar progression. And the first question for you is, what do you think the first part of learning lead guitar should be? Many people, myself included, thought it would be learning where all the notes are, which is somewhat right. However, notes mean nothing if you can't play them right, which is why you need to learn rhythm first. And the best way to learn rhythm is to just pick any note or notes on the guitar neck, it doesn't really matter, and have a working voice that can count off 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and if you have those two things, you can do an exercise like this, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then play different note directions like dotted eighth notes and quarter notes, respectively like this, dotted eighth note, 1 and 2 and, or a quarter note, 1 and then you just jumble together some quarter notes, some dotted notes, some eighth notes, and you can play something like this, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. That is the very first step you should take. I don't care what notes you're playing, I don't care how fast your tempo is, but you just have to be playing to the tempo of your voice and play the note durations you are ideally trying to play. After you do this and get good at an eighth note rhythm, you can go on to the second step of now you should learn scales so you're actually playing and moving in key. I have many videos up on this, so subscribe if you haven't. And if you already are subscribed, you've already seen these videos, and you already know that you can find these scales pretty easily. But since you're beginning, the first thing you should do is just learn the major scale and keep everything simple. And the major scale starting on the low E string looks exactly like this, and here's how you play it out. And it can move across the neck, staying in this order across all the frets, because that is what decides your key. And to understand keys more, watch my previous video, but for now, all you have to do is just play starting somewhere on this note on your low E string and play it out like that. And a bonus thing you can do is then count it out, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then play it in timing, give it different notes, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. And it's really, really easy to build this along with your rhythm at the same time after that very early rhythm foundation. And the third step you should take is after you've learned these basic patterns is you do both at the same time, but instead of doing everything in eighth notes, you start to learn 16th notes, which have the same note durations in the subdivisions, but instead of counting 1 and 2 and, you count 1 E and A, 2 E and A. But remember, start slow, 60, 70 BPM, and then work your way up. And the next step, after you have an even stronger rhythm foundation, is to start learning how to count your scale from 1 to 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is going to help you later on build modes once you're more advanced in this lead guitar space, which again, many videos up, subscribe if you haven't. And as you learn to count these 1 through 7, the next step you have to do is start looking at patterns. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. You can start to learn how different notes appear multiple times in the same scale and how to find them across the fretboard without thinking, here's D, and instead you can either think of it as numbers or muscle memory. And after you've noticed a lot of these patterns, it's going to be really intuitive to start building onto these scales further down the neck. Which brings us to the next 2 scales you have to learn to start your lead playing career, which are the 2 pentatonic boxes, major and minor. And this is what the 2 pentatonic boxes look like. Here's the major, here's minor. And once you learn those scales directly, you're going to make it easier on yourself and only focus on what you see on these high strings, which would be perspective to major and minor. And once you've isolated these little high string boxes, I want you to use this very YouTube app you're on and search up backing track in whatever key you'd like. And then knowing by what fret this note or this note is on your scale, that is what key you're in. And so say if you want to be in A, B, D, whatever, and look up a backing track for that. And as you get, and since you have a good rhythm foundation and you understand what notes will be correct, you can now just free play over this backing track. And the biggest thing I want you to remember is don't try to get too ahead of yourself and sound bad. And always remember that simple and melodic is something people's ears like to hear. Don't get too stuck up on shredding, especially since you're just starting to learn these lead things. If you found this video helpful, let me know in the comments what videos you'd like to have next. And of course, subscribe for more content and to see the other videos you've missed to master guitar faster and simpler.